Guys, here's your guys' week 5 test review. So let's get started. For the first one, I noticed the first one is a trinomial. So of the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. So I'm going to try x method to see if this factors. A times c, which is 1 times 12. 1 times 12 is 12 up top, and b goes on the bottom. So the two numbers that multiply to 12, but when added give you negative 7, that is negative 4 and negative 3. You divide both of these by the a value, and both of those can't simplify, so add an x, and then you guys go from bottoms up. X minus 4 and x minus 3. Okay, number 2. For number 2, I notice that it's 4 terms, so I'm going to factor this by grouping. So for this one, we got group the first 2, group the second 2. Okay, so from the first 2, I could factor out an x squared from both of them. And from the second group, I can't factor out anything, so that means I'm forced to factor out a 1. Take the GCFs and put them both on the outside. X to the third divided by x squared. 2 x's cancel, so that just leaves 1x. The x squares completely cancel, so all that leaves is the 4. And over here, it's still x plus 4. Now notice we can factor both the x plus 4s out. They're the same, so one of your factors will be x plus 4, the duplicate, because if you factor these out, that's what you're left with. And then the other factor would just be the leftovers, x squared plus the 1. So this factor by grouping only works when you have 4 terms, and then after you factor out the GCFs, you guys get those the same. Okay, number 3. This is a factor trinomial. So it's got a, b, and c, x squared, x, no x, so this is x method. A times c, that's negative 24, the b is negative 10. So the two numbers that multiply to negative 24, but when I give you guys negative 10, that is negative 12 and positive 2. Divide both of these by the a value, which is 3, and then add an x. Now this one's fine, that can't simplify. This can simplify. You could divide top and bottom by 3. Negative 12 divided by 3 is negative 4, and 3 divided by 3 is 1, so just 1x, right? So your factors are x minus 4 and 3x plus 2, bottoms up, right? Okay, number 4, okay, 2 terms, 25x squared and 36y squared, they're perfect squares, and there's a minus sign in between. So you go straight to, well, what times itself is 25x squared? That's 5x times 5x. What times itself is 36y squared? That is 6y, 6y, plus and minus. Okay. Number 5. Okay, automatically GCF Bandit. It's alive and well. Notice there's a negative in the front. Every time there's a negative in the front, you always gotta divide by a negative. 3, 9, and 12 can all be divisible by 3. So the GCF we're gonna take to the outside. These cancel. These cancel. So that's just x squared. 9 divided by negative 3 is negative 3x. And 12 divided by negative 3 is negative 4. And then we do x method. Our a value is 1, b value is negative 3, and c value is negative 4. So the two numbers that multiply together, or a times c is negative 4, the b value is negative 3. The two numbers that multiply to negative 4, but when added gives you negative 3, that is negative 4 and 1. And we divide both of these by the new a value, which here it is 1. So 1x, x minus 4, x plus 1. Do not forget the GCF Bandit, the greatest common factor that we factored out before. Number 6. Okay, 36, 45, and 9, those can all be divisible by 3. So factor out the GCF, 10xy minus 2x plus 15y minus 3. Okay, now this is there's 4 terms. We're going to factor this by grouping. We're going to factor this by grouping. So group, 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 group. Okay, so from the first grouping, I could factor out a 2x. I could divide both those by 2x. And from the second group, I could factor out a 3. So 2x, we get 5y minus 1. 10 divided by 2 is 5. The x's cancel, so you guys just drop down the y. These cancel, so all that leaves is a 1, right? Over here, we take out the GCF from that little group. 15 divided by 3 is 5. Drop the y. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so minus 1. And notice these are both the same, so one factor will be the 5y minus 1. And the other one would be the leftovers as a factor, which is 2x plus 3. And again, do not forget the GCF bandit. You need to bring down 3. Okay? Okay. Number 7. Again, there's a GCF bandit. We could divide each of these by 3. So factor out 3. 2x squared plus x minus 1. And then we do x method, right? A times c is negative 2. B value is 1. The two numbers that multiply to negative 2 but when added together gives you positive 1. That's 2 and negative 1. Divide by the new a value, so that's 2x, 2x. This can't simplify, this can simplify. Divide top and bottom by 2. So x plus 1 is one factor, 2x minus 1 is another, and again, don't forget the GCF bandit, which was 3. Number 8. So again, I see a negative sign in the front, so I know I have to divide by a negative, and there's no number that could go into 2, 1, and 3. So we're forced to just do negative 1. So factor out negative 1. All the signs flip, right? Positive 2x squared, positive x minus 3. So we do x method. A times c, 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. The b value is 1. So the two numbers that multiply to negative 6, but when added gives you 1, you guys. That's 3 and negative 2. And we divide these both by the a value, which is 2. This one's fine. This one, you could simplify the fraction by dividing top and bottom by 2. So bottoms up, 2x plus 3, and x minus 1. And again, do not forget the GCF bandit, the negative 1. Okay. Number 9. So I noticed we could divide both of these by 2. Now we get here. Now, two terms, 25x squared and 9, are both perfect squares with a minus in between, so this is factor using difference of squares. What times what gives you 25x squared? That's 5x, 5x. What times what gives you 9? That's 3 times 3. Plus and minus. Plus and minus. Okay. Number 10. This one's just a simple GCF. No, not simple, but this one's just GCF factoring. So, look at the numbers. Well, okay, there's a negative in the front, so we have to divide by a negative. 3 and 9 can both be divisible by 3. If you compare the x's, you can take away 2 x's at most, the least amount, right? So x squared and y to the 6th, y to the 5th, you can factor out a y to the 5th. You always choose the variable, the one that's lower. So here's our GCF. Now we need to simplify the rest. The negative 3's cancel, x squares cancel, 5 y's cancel, so that means there's still 1 y remaining. Over here, 9 divided by negative 3 is negative 3. Y to the 5th cancel, and there's 2 x's on the bottom, 4 x's up top, so only get 2 eliminated, so that means there's still x squared left. Okay, so those 10 are your guys' factoring. Now let's look at this part right here, right? Okay, so right here, oh, so this one, you guys just have to identify characteristics regarding this graph. So the y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis. So it would be right there. And that would be 0, negative 5. X-intercepts is where the graph crosses the x-axis. So that means it crosses there and there. That's negative 5, 0, and 1, 0. Axis symmetry is where the parabola or the quadratic gets cut in half. So that would be this line right here, which is at x is equals to negative 2. You must write x equals 2 for the axis symmetry part. The vertex is the lowest point or the highest point of the graph, which is right there. So that's, what is that? Negative 2, negative 9. Okay, concavity. It's a happy face, so it concaves up. And because it concaves up, it has a low point, which is a minimum. So that one, you guys just have to identify characteristics based off the graph of a quadratic. Part 3. Okay, so part 3, this is where you guys have to do this from scratch. You have to be able to graph from scratch. So to get y-intercept, this is where you guys set x equals to 0. So if you guys plug in 0 for all your x's, you did get 5. So the y-intercept is 0, 5. So I'm going to add that right now. 0, 5 is right there. Okay. X-intercepts. This is where you set f of x equals to 0, or it's the same thing as saying set y is equals to 0. So 0 equals to x squared minus 6x plus 5. And from here, you guys have to factor by using your trinomials x method. 5's up top, negative 6 on the bottom. The two numbers are multiplied to 5, but when added together gives you negative 6. That's negative 5 and negative 1. Divide both of these by the a value of 1x. So 1 factor, 0 equals to x minus 5 and x minus 1. And to solve for x, you just take the opposite of these numbers if the coefficient of these x's are 1, which they are. So 1 x-intercept is 5, and the other one's going to be 1. But you have to write it as a coordinate. 5, 0, 1, 0. So 1, 0 is right here. 5, 0 is right there. Okay, axis symmetry. To find the axis symmetry, it's negative b divided by 2a. So x equals 2. Here's our b value, and our a value is 1, right? So negative of negative 6 all over 2 times the a value, which is 1. The negative times a negative makes that 6 positive. 2 times 1 is 2, so it's 3. So the axis symmetry answer is x equals to 3, which I am going to draw. X is equal to 3. And to find the vertex, we need to plug in the x value into the function. So everywhere we see an x, it now becomes a 3. So we already know the vertex is 3 comma something, so plug in 3 now in for x. 3 to the second power minus 6 times 3 plus 5. 9 minus 18 plus 5. 9 minus 18 plus 5, you guys, is negative 4. So our vertex is 3 comma negative 4. And there is your guys' graph. Okay, so we got that. The next one, now for this one, y-intercept, I'll try to color coordinate the same. Again, this is where you set x equal to 0, so plug in 0 into your guys' function. Negative 6. So 0 comma negative 6, that is your guys' y-intercept. Okay, x-intercept. Okay, so this is where you set f of x equal to 0 or where y equal to 0, right? They're the same thing. 0 equals to negative 2x squared minus 8x minus 6. And now we must factor. You can factor all these by negative 2. X squared plus 4x plus 3. And now we do x method inside of the parentheses, 3 and 4. The two numbers are 3 and 1. I divide these both by, remember, it's the inside of parentheses, 1x. So 0 equals to negative 2, x plus 3, and x plus 1. Now when we solve, we only have to do it of the linear factors. So not this. That one does not matter when solving for x-intercepts. So x equals negative 3, x equals negative 1. Negative 3 comma 0 and negative 1 comma 0. You must write it as a coordinate. Negative 1 comma 0, negative 3 comma 0. Okay, axis symmetry time. X equals to negative b over 2a. Here's your a value, this is your b value, right? So x equals to negative 8. Should I write down the formula? No, it's okay. Negative of negative 8 over 2 times negative 2. There's a lot of negative signs, so you just have to take your time. A negative times a negative makes this a positive, and 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Axis symmetry is x equals negative 2. Then you plug in this in for all the values of x, and that would give you guys the y value of your vertex. F of negative 2 equals to negative 2 in parentheses negative 2 squared minus 8 times negative 2 minus 6. Okay, negative 2 squared is positive 4, but 4 times negative 2 would give you guys negative 8. Negative 8 times negative 2, that's positive 16 minus 6. And you combine those all together, that gives you 2. So negative 2 comma 2 is your guys' vertex. And here is your guys' graph. And one thing I forgot to draw in our axis of symmetry. Okay, I hope this helps, and study up and try your guys' best, right? I believe in you, and good luck studying, everyone, okay? Alright, see you guys later. Peace.